Well, Luke, first of all, Southend have done their press conference today. Kevin Mayer said it was bemusing that you'd made comment about one of his players at the weekend and said you should have battered the question away and not answered it. What would you say in response to that?
Well, I think that's completely fair. I think that is totally fair. I really do. I think I got caught a little bit, on the back foot. I was kind of still in game mode, and I answered the question very poorly, and I've caused some bad feeling, and it was not my intention. I do apologise because the people at Southend are really really good people, and they did make me feel very welcome, as they said when we played there, and I needed to really make a point of showing my respect to the football club and bat the question away. And I made a hash of that, and I do apologise for that. I really do, and respect the club, and what they're doing is actually fantastic this season, up against some constraints and things like that. But they're doing a brilliant job.
In fairness, though, I mean, this is a question about whether you're interested in a player. Supporters want to know, don't they? So don't
Yeah,
you have every right to tell them what the situation is? It was already out in the public domain in a newspaper from earlier in the week.
yeah, sure. I think that I needed to stay away from commenting until such time that maybe something is imminent, or but that's not the case at all. There's nothing to talk about, and I shouldn't have mentioned anything really. So yeah, like I say, it was the wrong time to speak about anything, and it should have been a very simple case of me just moving on to the next question. And like I say, I made a pig's ear of that. I think I was in the wrong headspace, and probably inexperienced in that way. I accept that, and yeah, I would like to apologise and just really concentrate on now the game at hand.
It's a difficult tightrope to walk as a manager, isn't it? Sometimes you get asked questions and you've got to try and be careful what to say that might upset a certain player or a certain football club.
Yeah,
Is that a challenging thing to do? I'm not I'm always the other side of the
of
microphone, so perhaps
course.
I don't realise it.
Yeah, it's challenging, but then you have to know that when you're talking publicly, that there is a lot of people that can be affected by your words, and so I need to do a better job of that. And like I say, it's not something I've done hugely throughout my career, because often I've been an assistant first team coach, but I have enough experience to know that I should have been able to navigate the question much better and be more sympathetic to other people that are listening in. And I'm going to learn from that for sure. And I don't have any problem with the comments made in my direction. I agree actually with the comments that have been made from the camp at Southend.
You mentioned earlier about the great job they're doing. They've got such financial problems, winding up petition on the 1st of March, and yet here they are sitting in sixth after four straight wins. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, really impressive, really impressive. And we felt that how impressive they are when we played at Rousseau. It was so tough, and brilliant energy coming from the team, brilliant energy coming from the staff, brilliant energy coming from the fans, and we felt it, and we suffered a lot in that game. So yeah, I really admire what they're doing. I really do, and some I mean, when you walk in the office after the game, it's like there's some big dogs in there. Some people been in the game a long time, achieve a lot of things. So yeah, they're doing an incredible job.
5 points clear. I just want to get an idea of the timing after the game at the weekend. When you came in, did you think at that point that Wrexham might have drawn, or did you know when you came in that they'd won, or when did you find out that they got such a late goal? Because every goal counts so much between you two at the minute.
Um, Honestly, is a because I felt I felt some disappointment in the performance. I was, of course, very very pleased with the result. So happy with the result because it's so important, every result. But I was still quite emotional after the game, and I have to make my point to the players and talk about a few things, and I don't want to get that wrong, because I have to praise them, of course, hugely for the effort. Another away game to win another game, score 4 goals, and I have to make sure that they understand how happy and pleased I am. I'm proud of the players, but at the same time, I also need to make clear that we cannot lose sight of some of the performances some of the things that we've done in the game were not great, and this and that. And then of course I need to be out there and talk to the press quickly. And so I don't know exactly when I learned that they scored a very late goal, but really, honestly, I normally, my head is like, Wrexham won, so let's just see how we done, because they're so good. But and then at some point I just learned that they score a late goal and they won, and then I think at that point for me was like maybe walking across the pitch, probably, I think, to do the press. And then I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought they would win, but didn't realise they'd scored a late goal. So yeah.
You've gone to 80 points. I mean, in some divisions, that'd be enough to get promotion, really. 80 points. It's a remarkable tally for this stage of the season, isn't it? I know that, nothing counts to the end of the season, but do you take sort of little milestones like that and note them?
Now, last season we would need 8 points now to win the league, because I think 87 was second place. But it's definitely not going to be that. We know that for sure. So really, like, I'm proud of the players for the incredible achievement to get 80 points at this stage, but it just doesn't mean anything. I'm really sorry it doesn't mean anything. I wish it did, but it just doesn't mean anything. The only thing it means is, well done, you performed well so far, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough, and we have to just keep going.
Yeah, and it is going to take a mammoth task, isn't it? It's just week after week, it's the same. I feel like we ask you the same questions quite a lot, but it's that needing to maintain that standard, which is just does it get more and more hard week by week, or does it get easier because you're in a momentum? Does it change at all?
I think fortunately we've been trying to be like very intense and very driven for every single game. We don't take anything for granted. We've done that really from the first moment, so it kind of doesn't feel like we any different to the very beginning. We had that that sort of way of working from the very beginning. Yeah, probably it should be almost enough by now, but it's gonna take a lot more, and so we're just staying in the same mode that we were in from the beginning of pre-season, really, honestly. And hopefully we can just stay in that mode for as long as it is required.
Let's talk tomorrow. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Luke. I just want to start with Saturday. So, obviously, the equaliser, Sam Slocum's involvement in that, it got a lot of attention on social media after the game. But I wanted to highlight his saves prior to the equaliser and afterwards. Would you say that was arguably so important in making sure that you got the 3 points in the end?
Of course, and it's disappointing when we make a mistake that leads to a goal of like that. It's very, very difficult. But then when we play Chesterfield, Sam Slocum gets an assist. He's the only keeper I think in the country to have done it at any level, because he is prepared to be gutsy and help us. He's been involved in more goals than any other goalkeeper, in terms of like he's been involved in the build-up that eventually led to a goal, and that's talking about him helping us to score goals. But he's a goalkeeper, and most important is he stops them going in, and he's brilliant at that. And as you said, that the game at that point was becoming kind of end to end, and then he was required to do the most important thing and make saves, and he's done that brilliantly. So yeah, very, very disappointing for him, very disappointing for all of us to concede in that manner. And like, let's not forget that all the teams, but Yeovil were no exception. They kept applying pressure, kept chasing down, kept putting big pressure, and we have to focus non-stop for the whole game. So yeah, disappointing, but in the end, his performance was excellent.
And then when we spoke after the game, you sort of alluded to the fact that you were a bit concerned about the drop in performance, and perhaps like a costly mistake was coming throughout the game. Is that something that you can perhaps coach out of the players, or is there an external pressure going toe-to-toe with Wrexham and that need to win every game as well? Does that provide a little bit of pressure that perhaps results in these mistakes?
I think that there's things that go into the mixture, for sure, like as you've spoken about there. We scored 8 goals in 2 games, and we're still we know we're an honest group, and we know that we didn't do things quite how we should do. And I think in both games, we scored 8, but we conceded 2, and the 2 goals that we conceded are disappointing. And they do give you a feeling that fatigue. And there's a lot of things that go into the mixture that cause us maybe to make some mistakes. But we do so many good things as well. We're able to, like I say, score 8 goals in 2 games, 4 away from home. There's a lot of good stuff going on as well, and the players need to be praised hugely for that. But unfortunately, I cannot allow them to rest, because I know what it's going to take. I understand, so they understand that as well, and we can survive mistakes. If 99% of what we do is good, we can survive a few mistakes.
There were a couple of absentees on Saturday. Obviously, we know that Toby's injury might be a little bit longer than we first anticipated. But then, what's the state of Kedwin and Richard Brindley ahead of tomorrow as well?
Kedwin is getting really close. Richard Brindley is close as well, but we probably need to see like a settling down of an issue before we start to plan his return. Whereas Kedwin is already beyond the point. We know where he's settled down now. He's just about now being ready to play again. So I think he's going to be close.
And then just finally from me, so it's a welcome return to home soil with 2 home games this week. But the rearranged kickoff for Dagenham on Saturday and the Dorking game as well will now not see you play at Meadow Lane on a Saturday at 3 o'clock until the end of March. Is that perhaps a disadvantage of being at the top and having your games televised as well?
I think we can look at it that way. I don't think we should. I think we just need to make sure that it's noisy at home. It's hostile, it's noisy, and whatever time they want us to kick off, no problem. As long as we have the right atmosphere inside the stadium and the players bring the right energy, then we don't mind.